Hello everyone, and well, here we are again in another video, and this time I'm going to talk about VCL components, dialogs and forms. So this is like an introductory video for everyone starting with C++ Builder, and we are going to cover some, like I said, standard and most used components, what are their most important properties, methods and events, and also we are going to see how to use existing dialogs, how to create new dialogs, etc. So, like I said, there are many of you maybe starting with C++ Builder, and I believe this is going to be useful for you to see how things work here, right? So, in order to demonstrate all that, I'll create a simple application for a magazine subscription. So, I'll just click on the form. So, once you create a new Windows VCL application, C++ Builder, you'll get a main form here. So I'll just call it magazine subscription. Okay, so we are going to try to demonstrate lots of different components here and to see what are they used for. So these are going to be from standard and additional set of components, and maybe some Win32. So I'll open a standard and I'll start by using a group box. Where is it? Okay, so group box here. This component is like a container designed to contain some other VCL components, and I'll just call it its caption. As you can see, the caption defines what's written here, and I'll say this is this subscriber info. Okay, so let's call it like that, and I'll just expand it a little bit. So what I want here is to add components that will allow me to input subscriber full name, address, etc. So I can do it by putting a label here. So this T-label component, its purpose is to display some text. Okay, and when I click on it, you have the caption property, and that's what's important with the label. So it's actually just a caption property. So I'll say full name. Okay, and then I need an edit field, okay, or edit component, which will be used to input that full name. So I'll just do it like this. So what's important with this edit, t-edit component? Well, like with any component, you need to name it somehow. This name property is very important because you will use that name property when you want to reach that component from inside the code. So it's always recommended that you have unique names. Well, actually, you can never have a duplicate name of component, but for example, I will call this E as edit full name. Okay, and the name of the component is going to be set as the default text, but I can also clear it. Okay, that's the full name. Now I will add, for example, email. And I'll call this email. Okay, so you can use some other naming style. That's really up to you. Then I will, so these are all full text edit fields, meaning I will enter characters. For example, well, let's just run the application. So I can say something like this, email at something at, for example, this. Okay, so that's all as it was meant to be. But let's just now add something else. For example, I'll add a field that's called age. Okay, how old is the person, right? And in here, in this edit field, well, I don't want it to be used to add some other characters except numbers. So if I go to, first I'll set the name property to edit age, okay, and then I will, text is deleted, you have here numbers only property. It's by default on false, so I'll just click on true, and when I run the application, now as you can see I can write everything that I want in these. But if I try to input something that is not a number, I will have this error message by default. So, but I can input numbers. Okay. Also, when working with numbers, there is one other component here. It's up-down component. So I can place it in here, and I can say associate that component with age. And look how it's automatically tied with this edit component. And when I run this, now I can go up and down. So that can be useful as well. Okay, that's the age. What else can I get? I can. So these are the edit fields. What's important with the edit fields? So I'll put a simple button here, just for demonstration. With the button, you have the caption, which you can say click, and it has the on-click event. So what happens when you click the button? Or you can simply double-click it here in the designer, and it will automatically create a method for on-click. So as you can see, I have a button one-click here, and if I open a unit1.h header file, I can see that method declared here inside the tphone1 class. Okay, so if I change it to something else, but X-click, it automatically changed the method description inside the header file as well, and also in CPP file. So what I can do here is demonstrate a few things. For example, when I click this button, I want to see what was the name inside this edit box. So I can use the show message. There are some other methods like message dialog or message box, for example, that you can use. I'll show some of them later, but show message. And now what's important is, what do I want to write out? I want to write out the text that is inside this full name component. So I'll just say full name, and I'll just point out the text property. So the text property is the one that contains the text that is inside the edit field. So I'll go like this, and if I write something, test, click, it showed me test. Okay, and that is how you can access the text inside the edit field. Besides the show message, you could, for example, I like to use the message box. So there is an application message box, and I'll just say the full name text, full name, and I'm going to use button cake here to display. Now let me just see. Okay, it is the string or Unicode string, and I'll just use the byte string. And here I need the L because of the byte string. So I'll just say John Myers, for example, click, and it outputted the text that we inputted in the full name. Okay, so this is show message is very simple, and it's like a developer function used for you to output some text very easily. So this is a minimum arguments used. This is a bit more complicated. Here you have the text that you want to display, you have the caption of the message box, you have buttons, and you can also specify an icon, for example, icon information. Okay, so let's try it like that. Click, I have icon information. You can have icon exclamation, icon exclamation, Okay, it's like a warning, and you can also have, for example, stop, which is like an error. You can also have a question icon, question. Okay. It's also interesting when you want to ask something. You want to ask your user something. You can say it like this: integer answer, for example, equals, let's say like this, a typical exit the application. Okay, and I'll just say exit as a caption, so I can say it's not going to be a OK button, but yes or no button. Okay, and what I can do simply is if answer equals ID yes, let's just make it shorter, message you choose exit the application, or else show message, or I can simply say yes. Okay, and here I can say no. Now let's see. Click it, exit. Okay, my English is actually not good, right? Exit the application. If I click yes, it says yes. If I click no, it says no. Okay, and that is how you can check what was clicked inside this message box. By you have ID yes, ID no, etc. It's not a problem to find these constants. So that's what you can use. You can use show message, which is very simple, and it's preferable in the time of development. But when you are going to finish your application and present it to the end user, I would recommend something like message box, message dialog, etc. And that's how it's done. So it shouldn't be that hard. You can also here notice one thing here. If I click this button, you see the default button is yes button. Okay, maybe in some cases I want to have the no button as a default button. So I can do it like this. Okay, and the default button is the second button. When I click it, and now as you can see, the no button is the default one. Okay, so that's about message box and how to deal with it. Now you saw how to read the text from the edit component. It's also possible to do the reverse. For example, I can say if full name text equals default, for example. And when I run this application, as you can see, nothing is inside, but when I click the button, it set the text to default. Okay, so you can use this property to read and write from. Okay. Also, the edit component has some events. For example, you can define what happens when you click on the component, when you change the text inside the component, etc. So it's really up to you. Do you want to use any of these? I rarely use them, but here they are. Okay, let's now switch to this case when you have an edit component that works with numbers. So let's just click here, and I'll remove this one. What I want is to show the number that was typed in here. Okay. You can say something like this: int age equals eAge. Okay, eAge is the name of the component. Text, but now see that text is the type of Unicode string, and I have integer here, so I can specify a dot here, and I can say 2. So for example, to integer, to double, and that is the way you can convert text into some numeric data. Okay, and that's pretty much it. So you need to just remember that you have these functions. They are a part of the Unicode string class. Okay, so that's how it's done. Let's move on. Age, and now let's present another component. It's not going to be edit. It's going to be a list box. So I'm just trying to align this. No, not list box, combo box. Okay. So this combo box component is also very useful, and I will say gender. So let's say that in this case I want to give my user an option so that he can choose his gender, is a male or female, or for example, I don't know, it's private, unspecified, or whatever. Maybe user don't want to give that information for some reason. But you have, when you click on this combo box, you have the items property here. And if I click on these three dots, I have a dialog here that appears, and it will allow me to specify the items that are going to be displayed inside this combo box component. So I can say male, female, for example. I'll just set these two options. Okay. Item index is the property that tells you which item is selected, meaning which is the index of the item that was selected. So if I specify, for example, 0 here, I will get male. Okay, if I specify 1, I'll get female. So these are the default selected items. If I specify something else, it will not allow me because those items don't exist, and -1 pretty much means nothing is selected. So let's run this. And gender, I can say male or I can say female. But notice that I can also say unspecified. So I can type anything here. So this combo box also in its default behavior also acts like an edit component. So it allows you to input something. Okay. How do I check what is selected inside this combo box? It's actually quite simple. I'll click this button and I'll say if, for example, how did we name this combo box 1? We'll change the name to something else, combo box gender. Okay, and I'll say if combo box gender items or item index if it's not -1, which pretty much means if something is selected, because if something is selected, the item index will not be -1. Then show message combo box gender text. Now let's see. Click. Nothing happens. Why nothing happens? Because nothing is selected, meaning the item index is -1. But if I select male and click, then I have male, and I have female, or I write something else. So it acts like it's nothing selected, right? But let's remove this. Okay, so now it works. So pretty much if you haven't selected the items from the list, you will have the -1 as a return value, as an item index. Okay, so that's how it's done. And the thing is that maybe you don't want your users to have the option to write something by themselves, and that's usually the case. For example, I pretty much never allow my users to input some custom text. I simply use edit component by default. Then I want to have these two choices fixed, meaning they cannot input anything else. So in order to do that, I will click this component and I will say style. As you see, default style is CS drop down, but I'll say drop down list. Okay, and now when I run this, so as you can see, it's grayed out. I cannot type anything inside. I can only select one of these two existing options. Okay, so it doesn't allow me to input something randomly. So it's really up to you what approach do you want to use. Also, what do we have here? Subscriber, full name, email, age. We have seen how to work with integers, gender. This is a combo box. We can also add something else here, for example, date time component. For example, subscription start. So when the subscription starts, for example, and that's going to be a date component, date time component. Just let me just search it like this: date time picker. Okay, date time picker. So this is a component that acts like a calendar. So if I run this here, I can select a date, for example, in a calendar. Okay. This component also allows you to, this is the short version, you have the long version of the date, you have also, this is the date, but it can also be a time, so you simply need to check these properties to set it for your own self. So for example, let me see, date mode combo box, up down, I can use this as well. Okay, so if I go here, so it's pretty easy. What do we have here? Show hint style elements, no, not here. Date combo box. Okay, so how do I get, for example, the date presented here? Okay, you see this is the date type. You can say it's the time that I want to have. So it's a kind property. Okay, when I click this here, now I'm going to remove this. I'll select this component and date time picker 1. Okay, let's just say it that way. Date time picker 1, date, and date string. Okay, so I'll just say show message. Now let's see. I click it, it's this. Okay, I'll just go back a little bit, and now is this. So this is the way you can access what's selected from the data. It's also the same for the time. You would have here time, and you would have time string here. Okay, now that's the subscriber info. Now, as you can see, all these components are part of this group box components, meaning if I move this group box, I automatically move all the components inside. So let's just state like that, and I'll add another group box component, which is going to be subscription. Subscription period will allow our user to choose one or more. No, subscription, just subscription, and now I'll have the label here. No, I'll just say magazine, and I will add a list box here. A list box. So what I want now is to offer my user to select or whoever is running the application to be able to select one or more magazines from the list for which the subscriber is going to subscribe, right? Magazine, so I'll say choose one or more, or select one or more, right? Okay, so this is the listbox component from the standard components section, and it also, like, it's very similar to combo box component, but combo box component, it has a drop-down list. This is a not drop-down list. This is a straightforward list, which also has the items property. So I'll just say magazine 1, for example. I'll set several magazines here just for the demonstration. Okay, 5. And these are 5 magazines that we are offering as a choice. Now, what I want is to check what is selected. So it says here select one or more. By default, listbox component offers you to select only one magazine at a time, only one item at a time. Okay. If you want to allow your user to select 2 or more items at a time, you have the multi-select property. As you can see, by default, it's set to false, so I'll set it to true. And now when I run the application, I can select one, and by using the control key on my keyboard, I can select multiple items here. Okay, so the question is now, how do I know what is selected inside this? Well, if I click here, I can, for example, let's say that we have the first case where only one magazine can be selected. You can do it like this. If, let's listbox 1, let's call it L magazine. And I'll just click it here and say L magazine. Selected count. If selected count is larger than 0, meaning if something is selected, then I can, for example, say show message. What I want to is to output the text that is selected. So L magazine. You would have a text property here if this was a combo box component, but with listbox it's much more complicated. So I would have, let's have here items, strings. Okay, and what string? So you have a collection of strings here. These are 5 strings. They have indexes from 0 to 4 in this case, and I need to say what index. So I'll just say L magazine item index, the one that was selected. So let's see here, nothing, because nothing is selected. If I click here, magazine 4. If I click here, magazine 2. Okay, but if I select multiple, it will just give me one of them. Okay, so how do I get the text of all who are selected? So in that case, I will do it like this. Let's just say 4. L magazine, selected count, or simply count. I'll go through all items in the list box, and I'll simply say if L magazine selected, and who is selected, if the this item with index 0 is selected, then simply show message that's it. 2, 4 and 5. 2, 4 and 5. Okay, so that's how it's done. Probably there are some other ways as well, but like I said, it works. I hope now that you see how this is done. The Listbox component also has events like on-click and such. If you double-click on something, if you ever need to use those, well, it's very simple, right? So I'll just comment this because I don't need it anymore. This is the magazine selection from Listbox. Now let's create another, not combo box, but group box. And in this case, I will offer subscription period. So I want to set a period for the subscription. For example, can be 1 month, 2 months, 2 months, 6 months, etc. The point is that there are many options, but only one can be selected, and for that case we use the radio button components. So I'll just say here subscription, and I'll go here 1 month. Okay, and then I'll copy paste this to be, for example, 6 months. Then I'll say 12 months. Okay, and I'll add another option here, which will be custom. Okay, and I'll add a button here, which will allow me to define what the custom is. Okay, so I run this. Now these are the radio button components, and only one of them can be checked at the same time. So if I click here, the other ones are not selected. If I click here, then this one is not selected, some other is selected, and so on. As you can see, only one choice is available at the time, but sometimes you might want to have multiple radio buttons selected at a time, and then you need to group them by group boxes. So if I just copy paste this group box and create its duplicate, and I run the application, now I can have one radio button from this group box selected and one radio button from this group selected. So that's the way you can do it. So in this case, we have radio buttons, and what's important with the radio buttons is the caption property, which pretty much sets the text of the radio button, and the checked property. So checked property is the one that specifies if something is checked or not. So if I click here yes, it's automatically checked, or not. Okay, it's very simple. It's the same when you want to check it inside the code. So this is a radio button 1, 2, 3, and 4. So for example, I can say here, if a radio button 1 is checked, then show message checked. Okay, else not checked. So I click it, not checked. If I check it, it's checked. Okay, and that's how it's done. So it's really simple. You just need to watch the checked property, and that's it. But in this case, there is something extra that I want to show you. So for example, I have the custom option here, meaning I want to input a custom number of months, for example. And in order to do that, well, I would like to have an additional dialog here appearing and allowing me to choose or to input the custom number of months. And there are several ways to do it. You can use input box, input query, use task dialog. You can also create your own forms, and we'll show something from all these options. So for example, if I have the this button, I'll say click, and I'll just say it like this: input, for example, input box. Okay, and input. So this is going to be a caption. So the caption period, subscription period, input number of months. And I can specify a default value of the input, so, a default text that is going to be displayed. And let's just say it was, let's say it's 12 months, okay? And I'll specify a variable here, string input equals this, okay? So let me just show you. Now, if I click here, now as you can see, what happens? You see subscription period. This is the caption. This is the input text, and this is the default value. Okay, and now I can specify anything that I want here. But for example, I don't want this button to work unless the custom is selected. So I can say here, okay, this is the radio button 4, and I'll just say if radio button 4 checked, only if radio button 4 is checked, then do that. So if I click it, nothing happens, but if I click custom, then it will show in the dialog. Okay, okay, so the inputted text is now stored in this input variable, and I can show it on my main dialog. For example, I can say radio button 4 text caption equals input plus I will add month. So okay, now let's see. If I specify here 25, click OK, I have now 25 months. But what happens if I click cancel? It sets it to default value. So that's something that you need to check out. You can also use if statements to see if this one equals the, for example, default text, then you probably should ignore it. But we will see a solution for that as well. So this is the input box. An additional way to handle it is by using the input query. And you get pretty much the same dialog. Input query, it uses the caption, it uses the prompt or the text for display, and a value. Here it requires me to specify the variable where the input text will be stored. So the input query does not support default text. So I can say here input. And as you can see, there is no default text. And here it is. So it's really a matter of taste or choice whether you want to use input text or input query. It's really up to you. But also you can create your own form, and now we'll see how to do it. So first of all, okay, I'll just comment this part here. And for example, I'm not satisfied neither with the input box or input query, and I want to create something on my own. So I'll just say file new, VCL form, C++ builder. Okay, and now as you can see, the first or the main form is located in this unit 1 CPP, and the second form is located in this unit 2 CPP. So the first form has the name of form 1, and the second form has the name of form 2. Okay, and if I open the header file, I can see the form 2 is nothing but a form. Okay, So what I'll just do, I'll say a label here that says input number of months, and I'll set the edit component here, and I'll add two buttons. For example, let it be first button will be OK, and the second button will be cancel. Okay, what happens is when you create a form, I'll view unit. This form is automatically created, and as you can see in the main CPP file of your application, you have the form 1 that is first created. The first created form is the main form of the application. So if you would replace these two lines, form 2 would be appeared as the main form. And this is the second form that was created. So meaning form 1 and form 2 are already existing objects. So I can go into form 1, and I can say here, you can see it includes unit 1, then I'll say include unit 2.h. Or the same thing could be accomplished by simply say, okay, use unit 2. And it would practically add the same line. Why this is needed? Because when I included this unit 2.h, now I can use the form 2. How? Well, I can say form 2. There is a show and there is a show model. I'll just go with the show model. Okay, I run it. When I click it, it shows me the second form. Okay, and I input something and click OK, cancel, close the dialog, right? What is the difference between show and show model? So when I use the show model, I'm not allowed to exit this dialog until I finish with it. Okay, and the main form stops until this dialog is not dealt with. Okay, if I want to have those two dialogs or forms at the same time, I can use the show. As now you can see, I can work with both forms at the same time. But usually that's not what you want. You usually want to have additional dialogue that is like an intermediate step in some larger operation. So for example, I'll just use the show model, meaning show that dialogue and wait for user to input something in here. And once user closed this dialog, then I know I can proceed with, for example, updating this text from custom to whatever number it is. But how to do that? So first of all, you see these buttons. Now this button has also the model result property, and I'll say model result of the button OK is OK. That means that user inputted something here, and I'll just specify that this is, for example, 24 month and numbers only, right? So this is the default text that I'm setting. Like I said, the model result is OK, and model result of the cancel will be cancel. And notice that I didn't wrote any, not a single line of code in this form 2. So what I'll just do is simply say if form 2 show model resulted in model result OK, meaning user clicked OK, he specified the value and clicked OK, only then you should do this. Now, instead of input, I need to reach this here, okay, this edit here. And that edit is where it is on the form 2, on the component edit 1. So I'll just say form 2, edit 1, and text. Let's see. I'll click custom, and this dialog appears. Okay, if I click OK, then he resulted with model result OK and change the text. But if I specify something else and I click, for example, cancel, nothing will happen because I know the user canceled that operation. Also, if I close the window, it will result in model result close, etc. So only if I click OK, things will change. And that is how you deal with multiple forms. So this model result property is very useful, and you can use it in this type of situations. Also notice that when I show the dialog, after I clicked neither this or this, the dialog closed. It automatically closes because you specified a value for some model result. Okay, if this was none, then it would not close. It will not close. Okay, then you could, for example, do something like this. Call the close manually. Okay, and it would close manually. But if you specify model result for a button, then it will close automatically because it assumes dialog is done and model result should be set. Okay, so this is how it's done. I hope you understand now how to deal with input box, input query, and how to create your own forms. Also how to get value that is stored somewhere on, for example, this is the text stored on the form 2 in its edit1 component. Okay, so this is the subscription period. So do we have something else? Okay, we have, let's use this checkbox component. I can specify here its name, let it be agree checkbox component. Let's just say C, agree. Its caption should be I agree with terms and some conditions. I agree. Okay, and well, so how to check if this checkbox is checked? Well, it's same as with the radio button. So I can say here if C agree, that is the name of this component, of this checkbox component, checked. If it's checked or is equal true, show message checked, else show message you must agree with terms, blah blah blah. Okay, let's see. I click it, you must agree. Okay, if I check, it's checked. Great, so that works. Now I will get this button here and I'll say, for example, subscribe or create report or something like that. What I'll do, I'll use another component. This is the memo component, and I'll go here with it. So the memo component is designed to contain multi-line text. So text for multiple lines. So we have the lines property. If I click it here, you can specify multiple lines of text. Okay. Also, you can clear it if you don't want anything in here. But notice that this is the editor that I want always to be to follow the dimensions on the window. So, for example, as you can see, if I extend the window to the right, component still stayed with the same dimensions. And for example, let me say that I want these dimensions to follow the dimensions of the window. So I can say alignment, no, anchor, and I'll say I want the right side of the component to follow the right side of the window and also the button. So when I go here, as you can see, component is extended to the right, and if I go down, it's extended to the down. Okay, so this way you can have the dimensions of the layout of the application set automatically. Okay, I'll add a button here that says, for example, save as, and open. Okay, and I'll have some dialogs here. Dialogs. Save dialog, open dialog. So let's say we have this one, and I'll just save here default extension for the save dialog is .txt because I'm saving the text. I'll add a filter here which is going to save text files. .txt. So this is going to be a filter, and I can right click and say test dialog. And as you can see, test dialog, and it showed me what I wrote, text files txt. Okay. I want to do the same for the open dialog, so I'll just copy paste the property from the save dialog. And well, let's click on the subscribe and now show something. For example, I want this info here to be placed inside this memo object as some sort of I don't know, agreement or contract. So I will say memo1 lines and add. So what do I want to add? I want to add subscriber full name, and in order to add that full name, it's stored here in this edit component, and the edit component name is eFull name. So this is the name property, eFull name text. Then I'll do the same for the let's just say we are not going to save everything, that would be too much. Let's save email as well. Email. Okay, so now let's run this. A, B, C, D, F, email, something. When I click subscribe, now as you can see, this is the text that I got. This is the text from inside the edit one, or the edit with the full name. This is the text with the email, and as you can see, I just add line by line. As this is the practically the editor that is contained in the, for example, Notepad application, a simple Windows Notepad application, I can use save as. So what I want is when I call the save as, that save dialog appears. Let me choose the file in which I want to save this text. So I can, for example, say if save dialog1 execute. So, and if that execute equals true, that means if a user selected or clicked save inside the save dialog, then I want to do what? I want to save the text that is inside this memo component into that file. So I'll say memo1 lines save to file, and which file? So I need to specify the file that was selected inside the save dialog, and that's easy. Save dialog 1 file name. So that is the property that contains the file that you specified in the save dialog. And similar is for open. So instead of save file, I will just use open. Open dialog, save to file, and this will be a load from file. Okay, now let's see. I'll specify something here. Okay, save. Now I have some, I don't have any text files here. If I click cancel, nothing happens. But if I choose something, for example, test.txt, then it's saved in the test.txt. But nothing is saved, right? Let's save it again. Test.txt. Okay, now I'll delete this and I'll say open. And as you can see, test.txt is here, it is created. If I click cancel, nothing happens. If I select the file, then I get the text that was in that file. Okay, and pretty much it's easy to create with this memo control. It's very easy to create an application like I said, Notepad. Okay, you can also choose to have what are the other options? For example, to have a main menu. So I can specify a main menu, and let's say that I want to have this save as and open options in the main menu. So I'll go here and I'll say application, for example. I'll add exit option here. Let's first deal with the exit option. So I'll just double click it here. Okay, so this is the code that will close the application. Pretty much it says exit the application. This is the caption, yes and no buttons, icon exclamation, and the second button or the no button is default. And if the result of this message box is ID yes, then terminate the application. So if I run this, exit the application, no, nothing happens, exit, yes, it closes, right? But now I'll add a new item here. I'll click the insert keyboard button and I'll specify as a caption a minus, and that will create a line here. Then I'll create then I'll click insert again and I'll say memo, and inside this memo right click and I'll say create a submenu. Then I'll say save as, and I'll click here and say open. So what I want is to remove these two buttons and simply use save and open from the main dialog, main menu. So I'll click this item here and go to the events, and I'll say on click I will choose the function that was used for the save as. So this was the save dialog button free click. So on click I'll say button free click. And for the open was handled in button 4 click. So now as you can see why it's important and recommended to have names for the components in the form, as now it's very hard to remember what was button 3 and button 4, right? Now when I run this application, I click here memo, save as, and it's called the save as dialog, and this one will call open dialog. And that's it. So a bit longer video, but we needed to cover as many of these most used components as possible for you to see how the things are done, how you can use some custom or you can create some custom dialogues, meaning your own forms, what is the model result when dealing with custom forms, how to use existing dialogues like save dialog, open dialog, like input box, input query, etc. And well, I hope this will be useful to you, as if you are starting or working with C++, Builder or Delphi, these are some basics that you will definitely in one way or another always need. Thank you for watching and see you next time.